So what is the professional plan? The professional plan is a subscription service that we host on LandApp. It's a paid for subscription and it complements our freemium model. So for those that don't know, the LandApp itself is a bit of software that offers a majority of its functionality for free. And the reason we've done this is mainly to engage as many people as possible. We fundamentally believe that if we're going to deliver everything that we want to deliver, which is designing a sustainable planet together, we need as many landowners, farmers, foresters, land agents involved in the process as possible. And we don't want that point of entry to be a blocker at the pricing. So just for rough numbers, just for transparency, we've got nearly 15,000 users on the software, and about 4,000 of those are now subscribers. So just under a third of our subscribers, of our users, are subscribers. But by subscribing to the LandApp, you are providing one of our few revenue streams. The subscription starts for an individual user at £15 per month. But dramatically drops as you increase the number of people in your organization. And so what I wanted to do is just flag up, if you are interested in the pricing, there is a pricing page on our website. And if you hit the C price list underneath that professional subscription, you get a breakdown document of how much things cost, what the tiered structure is. So for our professional subscription that I'm talking about today, for one person, it's £15 a month. For up to 5 people, it's then £25 a month. So the equivalent of £5 per user. And then if your organization jumps up to over 500 people, it drops down to £3 per user. So we're using this tiered system at the moment. It's flexible. So it's monthly rolling contract. So if 1 month you want to have 20 people in your organization, you'll be within the 16 to 50 band of a monthly cost of £100. But if you do then drop down to say 15 people, that monthly cost will automatically drop down to £50. So it's trying to be as dynamic as possible. We're fully aware that the sector we work in is quite cyclical, especially with the the countryside stewardship, basic payment sector, etc. So if you do know over Christmas you want to reduce those numbers, please feel free to do so. And I will be showing you a bit of team management organization as we go, and showing you where you can downgrade certain members of the organization, for example. Also within this pricing document, I touched on a couple of things in that slide around functionality. There's a full list of functionality that's available between the free essential tier and that professional plan. So if you do either want to have a reference point, do come into this document as well. And we're just using this tick box exercise. So no tick means that you don't have access to those things. There is this additional subscription level called premium. It's not officially available within the software yet, but if you are interested in some of these additional functionality like API integration and metrics dashboard, do get in touch with us through the website, and we can hopefully book in a demo and discuss a quote. The first thing to say is anyone who wants to upgrade to a professional subscription, they don't need to book in a call. You can self-serve and you can do it yourself. You can do this by, once you log into the LandApp, you click the person icon at the top right-hand side, and in replacement of where it says organization here, the button will say upgrade. If you click that upgrade button, you'll be walked through a process of entering your organization's details, uploading an organization's logo, and adding your direct debit or credit card details for that monthly fee. It's a system that doesn't take too long. If you are struggling with that process, do visit our help and guidance through this little button at the bottom, and you should be able to search for, I guess, upgrade is probably the upgrade is a keyword, upgrade to professional subscriptions. There's a full guide on how you can walk through that upgrade button and hopefully get onto the professional subscription that I'm discussing today. Once you've upgraded, you will then have access to something called an organization tab. The organization tab is it's your kind of hub for managing at the admin level, the LandApp organization. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to spend 5 minutes talking through each of the different tabs and what they all mean. So on the settings page, this is where you can do a couple of organizational level changes. There is an edit button on the right-hand side where you can edit the organization. So you can change the name of the organization and you can upload a logo. That logo will replace the logo that's in the top left throughout your mapping experience. So it makes it feel a bit more of a white label type product. If you're taking any screen grabs, you can have your organization's logo at the top. And also when you go to print maps, by default, your logo will be on the printout. There is a maximum image size as well. So please, I know some of you have got amazing logos, very high resolution. Just make sure you request it's no bigger than 50 megabytes to be uploaded in that area. Also within here as well, it's just worth saying that you can close the organization. So if you want to completely remove your subscription from the Land app, this is where you do it. And again, there's guidance to do that if you so wish, but obviously we'd hope you never want to do that. Also within this settings page, there is the data section. At the moment, there's just one thumbnail, which is the Ordnance Survey API key. Worth saying that if you're eligible for the Ordnance Survey Data Hub, we can provide guidance on exactly who's eligible. You're entitled to add your OS Data Hub API key within this bar. High level, the people that are eligible for the Ordnance Survey API are any organization giving a service to third parties. So if you're solely using the Land app for internal business use, you're not eligible. But if you are providing a third-party service, say you're giving advice to a farmer, or you're doing a planning application for a client, or you're an estate working with tenants, and you're building a nature recovery plan with your tenants, high level you're eligible. But please, when you do subscribe to the Data Hub, do check your eligibility against their terms and conditions. If you do want guidance on how to get set up, please do get in contact. But hopefully it's fairly self-explanatory. The next page is the users tab. And what this is a list of all the users that have been accepted into your organization. When you first log in, you should have no users in your organization bar yourself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back to the users tab in a moment, because there's a couple of bits of information in here that are useful context. Invitations, this is where you add new users to your organization. So within invitations, I can add a new user like Glenn at the Land app as a colleague of mine. I can then dictate their first name and their last name, like so. And I can also assign them to a team. And I'm coming on to the team tags in a moment. But what this means is when they onboard, if you do want them to say have admin rights, you can add them as an administrator. If you don't want them to have admin rights, you can create a tag. These are all just random tags that you provide to both the user and all maps that are created. And only when the tag matches the user will that user be able to see the data. And so when at the admin level, you can basically at a high level filter which data people see and what they don't see. So just because you're inviting a user into your organization, it doesn't necessarily mean they have to see all the data that you're creating. As a note, you can actually add multiple at the same time. You'd have to keep clicking done and then resubmit. You can hit this little plus icon at the bottom. With teams, this is where you can set up those team tags. These are a really smart way of filtering data, both for privacy, but also for organization. Different ways that you can do it. These are all just demo tags, but you can, for example, if you're a land agency, create a category of tags called, say, sector. And within that sector you could have, land agency. You could have the rural division, you could have, farming as well, and you can have the ecology, etc. So all those tags can then be applied to certain maps and to certain users for you to easily manage your team, especially as it grows. As for context, our biggest customer has got over 500 users now. And what this team management allows them to do is, all 500 users all creating, 10, 20, 30 maps a year. It does soon add up, and these tags allow that organization to really filter the data as and how they need it. You can also make them colorful as well, as you can see above. So if you want to give them a team color and make them look slightly more bespoke, you can, and you've got freedom to add that. And so just to recap then, once I've made those tags, when I go to invite or within my users, I can control which tags they see. So for example, if I wanted to give Tristan the farming tag, I can add him to those maps. If I wanted to remove him as an admin, I could do that as well. So that's your teams and team management. And the final thing to say is we also have a billings tab. So for those that are working with their accountants, worth saying that by default, the admin of the organization gets added as a bill receipt, but you can add accounts at whatever organization, for example, as a recipient of your monthly bill, regardless or not if they are a LandApp user. So they don't need a LandApp account, but you might have an organization account that sends it directly to your admin team or your accounts team. Just make sure you put their details in here. They will then get a monthly email summarizing your spend that month, including your subscription and any print costs, but also they will attached to that will be these CSV files, these Excel spreadsheets, sorry, that contain a full breakdown of your billing. I think if I open this Excel, it might tell me I've got an unlicensed Excel because we're now on Google. But anyway, hopefully you get the point. Yeah, there we are. There's a, yeah, trying to get me to buy a new one. Sorry, Bill Gates, I'm moving with Google. But you can see it's then giving me a breakdown of my billing by prints, which users are in my organization, how much OS premium data I purchased, and any other additional data purchases that I may have made. So it's a really nice way of you keeping transparency between yourself and the accounts. So that's team management from the back end. That's how your organization looks and feels. Within the front end, so with the maps dashboard, you can see that some of these maps are being given tags, others haven't. And what you can do is you can easily add those tags by hitting the edit button in here and then searching by tag, such as that farming one that I just made just a minute ago. So I've now added the farming tag to Tim's map called demo, which means that every user that's got the farming tag will be able to see that map. If I remove the farming tag from that map and then a user only had farming as their tag, they wouldn't be able to see it. What also that means is you can then filter your organization's maps by the tags. So you can do it by one tag or you can do it by multiple tags. And that should, if I've got any ecology, which ones have I got? Demo maps, there must be some in there. There we are. So they're independent tags that as a user, I may just be interested in those two tags. That when I come onto the LandApp, I only want to see those maps. Worth saying as well that whatever you put in here, when you do come back to LandApp, so if I refresh my screen, it should remember what tags you've got saved. So you don't have to constantly keep putting in the same tags. That will just remember which ones you put in last time, so you don't need to then filter it again as a note. So the next benefit of coming onto onto our professional subscription after team management is our function called Map of Maps. We spent hopefully a bit of time articulating what Map of Maps does. And I just wanted to quickly reiterate what the functionality is. I'm not going to go into too much depth, but we have got some webinars and some YouTube videos on our YouTube channel that explain Map of Maps in terms of the use cases and the functionality a bit deeper than what I'm just about to show. So I'm on a random map called demo. I've got my random development plot using some ordnance survey data here. What I can do for any one of my plans is I can publish that data. And so only those in professional have access to this function, but you can see that there's a black tick next to each one of my plans. And if I click on that black tick goes green, and the little tooltip now tells me that it's published to my organization's data layer. What then happens is at midnight every night, the LandApp data scrapes every one of your maps within your organization and creates a separate layer for every template that's been published. So a reminder that we've got, I think it's 16 or so different templates from basic payment, countryside stewardship, environmental stewardship, UK Hab. Your Map of Maps will then aggregate all of your plans relevant to which template they've been using. Where to find those are within the data layer section. And there should be, once you publish your first project, a new section within data layers called organization. You click on organization and you can see a list of all the different projects or plan templates, sorry, that have been published. So if I turn on Ordnance Survey Master Map, what that's then loaded is that's loaded the master map that I've published previously from my organization. So you can start to get an understanding of, say, for your land agency firm, which Ordnance Survey master map layers have been purchased. If you zoom out even more, you can start to see that national coverage of all the different master map that we've purchased, fundamentally stopping you buying the same license twice. You know, especially for master map, it's a really good way of having transparency across the organization to understand where you have purchased master map to ensure that you don't buy it twice, and you're, you know, cost saving on that front. All of those blue squares represent an area of land that when you zoom in, they should then load that Ordnance Survey master map. Why that's important is that if you then want to go and print, you can put on the blank base map. Printing will then be £0 because it's free, but you can print using that as your backcloth. You can print on the OS master map as your backdrop rather than having to pay again for OS royalties. Just to demo that again, if I turn on my Ordnance Survey light again and maybe publish my baseline habitat assessment or my land management plans and zoom out, you can start to see these collective groups of holdings that we're working with across the country. It starts to act as a bit of a CRM system for which customers, which projects are you working with. To take that one step further, the map of maps also acts as a bit of a referencing system. So if I did, for example, want to interact with the particular map that made up this polygon, I can't edit it within this layer. I have to then click the hyperlink on the right-hand side, which takes me into that particular, in this case, tenant's map that makes up their project. Okay, so map of maps, you have to publish it. You have to turn it green, like I've got these in here. You can unpublish, like so. Just I've unticked that baseline number 1. It's gone black, but it will take up to 24 hours to be reflected on your map of maps. So don't expect it to be instant, especially because it has to run at night to create that bespoke data layer for you as an organization. Final point, just as a reminder that the word publish can be a bit misleading. We've had a bit of feedback. It doesn't mean we're publicly sharing that data at all. It fundamentally is just publishing it privately to your organization. So that means that even if I was collaborating with this tenant, they don't have access to my map of maps. It's only me and my colleagues in my organization that have access to that map of maps. Okay, so that's map of maps. And yeah, like I say, YouTube or our help and guidance is a good place to go for additional info. The next one to show you is just some additional data layers that you get from being in the professional. We've got a long list of new data layers we want to get in. A lot of them, especially if they're premium data layers, i.e. we have to pay for them, would be under the professional subscription. But just to talk you through a couple of them, the first one and probably the most used one is the land registry ownership data. So all users of LandApp have access to these ownership layers, freehold, leasehold, other, and Scotland. But when you're a free user and you click on them, the amount of detail that you get in this right-hand panel is minimized. And you also don't have access to this, this green button that's called View Owner. If you click on that, what that does is that provides you with not only the title number, but it also provides you with the information about who owns that polygon. So if you are, for example, a site finder, you know, we've got lots of different site finders using the LandApp now. This is a really good way of you getting contact details to write a letter to that particular owner because this parcel of land is of interest to you for whatever infrastructure or conservation project you're trying to promote. We don't at the moment, however, just to clarify, host the land registry deeds. So for example, if that polygon was owned by a private owner, these are all corporate, but if there's a private owner, you will need to still take the title number to the HM registry and request a title deed, which costs you £3. And you can do that on the .gov website. So yeah, just to clarify, it's just for corporate ownership. We can show the postal information and the ownership information. Other data layers that are made available on the professional are the Ordnance Survey Master Map. And this is only available to those that are eligible for the OS API key. So I mentioned earlier about the eligibility requirements. If you're not eligible for that, but you are in the professional, you won't have access to this point. It's only if you've got an API key. But what you can then do is you can toggle on the master map, either black and white, and I think you need to zoom in to a certain level. because it's quite a heavy data set. Here we are. So you can toggle on the black and white master map. So these are all the shapes that make up master map, and you can click on them and get information about those shapes. So useful if you are, for example, trying to find out the areas of a building for an existing sales plan or evaluation. And again, the color, exactly the same data, just styled slightly different. Also worth saying that everyone has got access to the master map topography labels, which on their own, if you're, you can turn them on, but they're mainly just so you can overlay them, say when you've got the black and white on. And that loads through your API from OS Data Hub. So those are the main data layers. I think, although I've checked my list and I don't think there's at the moment other paid for data layers, but we are in discussions with getting a planning data set in for premium users, and also soil data as well. So soil type and geology, something we could probably get in, but that will be in the professional subscription, and planning. So where's historic planning applications happened, where's current planning applications happened, mainly as a data set, so people can have some transparency on, is it worth applying for planning in this area for whatever reason. So sticking on the theme for data layers, what I wanted to do is then make you aware that you are in the professional subscription entitled to create data layer reports. And a data layer report is a way of you understanding in a tabular way which data layers your area of interest intersects. So I've got this boundary of Tim's farm that many of you probably would have seen before, but you can manually turn on all the different data layers and see how they overlap. But as you start adding more, it can get quite complicated, quite convoluted about, you know, okay, I'm in a green belt and I'm in an A or an B, that's fine. But as you add all 85 data layers, it can be quite time consuming to work out which parts are or are not in those areas. So what we've got is probably one of our most underused functions. So just to show you it, because I do think it's really, really good, is in your data layers report section. And sorry, I'm going to just redo that again. In this report section at the top, so the square with the bar chart in, hit reports, and then you want to click this second tab next to data layers, next to plans called data layers. And then here you can create unlimited fresh reports. So when we first launched this process, it used to be a paper report, but again, due to feedback, we decided to make it free for all users. By hitting create report, you then choose which project layer, or which plan, sorry, you want to create as your reference layer. So in our case, my land registry parcels that I was just showing you. And then you choose which of the data layers do you want to compare that boundary to. So I'm not going to do them all because it takes a little while to run, but I'm just going to do a random selection like so. As a note, the functionality, you can either choose this tick to choose everything within the access category, or you can be a bit more bespoke and say just choose certain layers within that drop down. Okay, once you're happy with the list, so I'm going to be comparing it. I might reduce that just for demonstration's sake, but it does work quite well. Demo report. What it's going to do, it's going to take my boundary of my farm, and it's now running it through all of our different data layers, and it's picking up when it does intersect and how many hectares of land it intersects, and also where it doesn't intersect. And the reason why this is important, if you are, for example, doing a sales plan, it's a really quick way for you to understand which targeting layers it might be in, designations, you know, am I in a triple SI? There we are, it's now loaded, or where you're not intersecting it as well. So just to quickly whistle through some of these, just to show you that 34.41 hectare block that I've just checked has got 3 different public rights of way, totaling 853 meters. I'm in Guildford Local Planning Authority and Waverley Planning Authority. My habitat networks, I'm in enhancement and fragmentation zones. I've got some ancient woodland. And in terms of the priority habitat inventory, I've got some lowland meadows, some purple moorgrass, and some no main habitat sections as well. And the way that they break down is consistent throughout all the different data layers. So the structure is, the count is just the total number of unique polygons within that data layer intersects. The hectareage area is obviously the amount of area that is inside the boundary, and the percentage is just obviously the total area of the intersection over the total area of your area of interest. The source information is a hyperlink, so if you want to find out, say, where we got the parish boundaries data there from, you should be able to click on that, and it should take you through to the actual source for the parish boundaries. So that's the data layers that we're using. As I mentioned, it's not just about if you do intersect, just as important is understanding if you don't intersect. So for an environmental impact assessment, you really don't want probably to be on a designation for SSSI or special protected areas. So all of these from no results mean that the polygon that you've intersected does not have any of these data layers contained within it. So that's arguably just as important, if not more important in some cases. That table can then be exported, so you can hit this download button, and that just, again, just like the pricing logic, downloads a summary in Excel format of this table. The next thing to say is that, and probably slightly more difficult to demo, even though I can, is that all of our subscribers, so anyone on the professional subscription, gets an automatic discount on their OS data. And so when you go to print your map and you've got an Ordnance Survey base map on, you automatically applied a 20% discount. So if you are regularly printing more than one print a month and you're not on the professional subscription, you are certainly probably losing money, because you could be paying a £5 a month subscription and getting, depending on the scale and the size of the map, up to 10, 15, £20 off. So in this case, if I was printing this map at this resolution, I'm getting a 20% discount on that. So this originally would have been over £100 for the OS license that make up this print. So hard for me to demonstrate exactly what that looks like because I'm on a professional subscription, but do have a play, see what the price was before you print, and see what the price is after you print. While I'm on the printing process, just to make you aware as well that professionals also have access to saving print templates. So when you go in to customize your print and you add a header like so, and you add maybe a logo here. I don't know what logos I've got. So yeah, I've added my logo. I don't know why there's a weird black box around it, but it's just the file. Once you're happy with how that looks, and even with a particular legend, for example, and you've maybe made a bespoke legend, and you've spent time going, my farm, and you've tidied it up, what you can do is save this print template, i.e. what's happening around, for the next time you come and print. And you do that by hitting this save button here. And then you can save this as, branded November 22 print, and then hit save. Next time you come to print, you can actually preload a print template. So just to show you, these are some of the old ones I've got. Example for UK Ham. If I click on this, what that's done is that's now refreshed all of my print template and showed me the predefined legend that I had before. And so if you're rattling out lots of stewardship plans or maybe planning applications and you want to make sure it's all formatted, using the print template and saving them and then coming back to use the same one is a really nice way to go. So you can see I can quickly flick between the different templates, and all the logo, legend, formatting should all update with it. So that's printing. And then the final thing, just to make you aware, and I kind of said this at the start, is just the OS Data Hub. When you are on a professional and you are eligible for that OS Data Hub, and that was in this organization tab. So when you do have access to an OS API key, what that does is provide you with, well, firstly, it eliminates the need for print credits. So for free users using the OS base maps, you will see your print credits at the bottom of your screen, especially when you're tracing around like this, drain really quite quickly. If you're on the professional subscription and you put in an OS API, the credit system is completely eliminated, and all of the raster data, so this base map data, is being streamed from Ordnance Survey HQ directly to your map, and we're just being a conduit. So you create an account with OS, subscribe to their eligibility requirements, and then we can help you get that data in. So it means that you can browse around and zoom in and out without seeing your credits get eaten up quickly.